On today's show, we talk to artists Vaughn and Andrea Gomez, get an update on Kingston on Community Conversations, dance with our star Will McCassie Jr., and get a short Just the Facts update on Duxbury town government.
We'll also highlight upcoming things to do on the South Shore, including events, shows, classes, and programs in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, and Duxbury.
We're glad you're here. Let's get started. Vaughn and Andrea Gomez are two of 22 local artists featured in our current gallery exhibition, Little Beasts, Insects and Blooms, and create collaboratively as AnVu. Andrea and Vu visited our studio to talk about their art, inspirations, and how working together works.
So I think it's been my whole life. Ever since when I was very little, I always been very creative. I used to paint around the walls in my house. My mom used to let me do crazy stuff all the time. Sorry. And then it's just me always creating and then making little craft or drawing or even just experimenting with all sort of materials. I think I realized it even though I've always been doing this my whole life, I realized it maybe a couple years ago when I decided I was a little bit lost. I'm what to do with my life, and I decided and I realized that art is something that I want to keep doing, and I want to transform that into something that is part of my everyday. And that's when I realized I was an artist, I think. Just realizing that this is something that I can live without.
Yeah, I didn't have the luxury of being exposed to art when I was younger. My parents were business people. They opened their business together. So I was told my whole younger years that you're supposed to be in business. But then when I grew up, I just felt myself more drawn into making things, into art, into colors. And then during college, I just made the switch and just thought, this feels right. Just went ahead with it, and haven't really looked back. We've had so many conversations. I mean, the partnership of art comes after our own partnership as a couple, as partners ourselves, and we just had so many conversations about our background, about being, immigrants, and about making art that respond to that. And yeah, I think once that clicked in, we also realized that we have very complementary skill sets, and it just became natural that, okay, that's something that we need to work together on, and something that we need to put out there.
Yeah, I like to say that he's more like the mind, and I'm the one who's creating stuff. We both create, but he always have great ideas, and I'm okay, I got it. I know how to make this, and then I go ahead and know the materials to use, the colors that we can use as well. He also knows about that, but it's a good way that we complement each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've always been drawn to vulnerability. So I remember one time, I saw this moth, and it was just, what moths do, that they just slam their heads into lights. I was trying to save it. And by saving it, I was, getting it into a cup, and then trying to release it, and then I killed it by accident. But then I just think that it's something beautiful about just them just being drawn to light, and being drawn or hopelessly drawn to it. So I feel it kind of, I kind of resonate with that sometimes when you're just trying to hopelessly get something done in hope of achieving something, but at the end of the day, you never know, because life keeps going, and you'll keep trying and see what happens from there.
My favorite little beast is a mantis. I've always been fascinated by this creature, and especially when it comes to the female mantis, I know that when they're mating, at the end they rip off the partner's head. And I think, I know it's a little bit crazy and a little bit like maybe, but I think it's just talks about like empowerment, especially as a woman, just like having the control of the situation and being the one in the position of like, I got it, nobody has control over me. So yeah.
Our work is called Oust. Oust sort of represent this energy of blooming, and I thought like the energy of spring fits perfectly with the theme. And I also always think that plants are, little beasts on their own. Just because they're not moving doesn't mean their energy isn't almost awesome. So yeah, I think I just want to bring that energy into the work, and also show how like trapped we feel, because there's a human face in the work. And as people, I think sometimes we're part of nature, but at the same time we're so much surrounded by things that are not nature, and we forget where we're from. And so I just wanted to sort of bring us back to where we were, and also try to show that energy within the work of like the plant blooming through the human face.
Yeah, like we're talking about outs, for me it's like breaking out of the mold. I think as humans there's always like this, and especially as a woman and as an immigrant as well, there's always like expectations of who you should be, how you should act. And then with this theme of like blooming, getting out of like this box, is just representing that we're so much more than just this place that we're put in. We are our souls, our emotions, our experiences, and then you're just trying to break free from those expectations. And that's why when you see our artwork or art pieces, like this explosion of like this beauty, nature in colors and different textures and materials working together to represent that.
Little Beasts, Insects and Blooms is up until June 5th. Stop by to see AnVu's art and the work of the 20 other artists featured here at Gallery at the Local Scene at 4 Collins Ave in Plymouth, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. until 8, and Fridays from 10 till 6.
It's time to dust off your dancing shoes for Senior Prom. The Plymouth Networking Group invites Plymouth seniors to the Plymouth Center for Active Living on Tuesday, May 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. for an afternoon of glitz and glamour at Putting on the Ritz Senior Prom. The Play It Again Band will provide a live soundtrack for an afternoon of dancing, delicious refreshments, and exciting raffles. There'll be plenty of fun photo ops to capture the memories, and in true prom fashion, the crowning of a prom king and queen. Space is limited for this in-demand affair, so tickets will be awarded through a lottery system. If you'd like to enter, call Cal at 508-830-4230 before May 5th and let them know if you'll be bringing a +1.
The 2026 Dancing with Our Stars Gala event by the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce was not just a dance competition and a fantastic night out for the community, but a major community fundraiser that supports small local businesses through the Plymouth One Fund. Competitor and Plymouth police officer Will McCassie Jr. worked with his Fred Astaire dance instructor to turn the song I'm Too Sexy into the soundtrack for a crowd-rousing performance that the local scene was thrilled to broadcast live. Check it out.
All right, on now to contestant number 3. Are you ready to meet our next contestant? You guys ready? Okay, here we go. I want to have you turn your attention to the screen now as we're going to get to know Will McCassie from the Plymouth Police Department. So turn your attention to the TV screen.
McCassie, representing the Plymouth Police Department. The reason why I'm doing this is my wife encouraged it. We attended the very first Dancing with the Stars and she fell in love with it. I did too. We've gone to a lot of them and I have a blast every time. Coming here to dance, they make it super easy. Everybody's super nice, whether they're competing or not competing. It's just been an overall fun experience to get out and meet new people and try new things.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the floor Mr. Will McCassie with his partner Caitlin Beckel.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. Sexy for your party, no way, I'm just go dancing. On the mark, know what I mean. I do my turn on the catwalk, yeah, on the catwalk, yeah, on the catwalk, yeah. I shake my tush on the catwalk. I'm too sexy for my cat, too sexy for my cat. Poor pussy, poor pussy cat. Sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. I'm too sexy for the sun.
I didn't know that side of you, Will.
Neither did I.
How are you feeling now?
I feel great, feel liberated.
What was it like to work with Caitlin? How was the whole experience?
It was great. Caitlin was a blast. She encouraged all my kind of ideas. We bounced back and forth off each other, kind of on the same page. Everybody was super fun. They were with it. We had a great song, a great routine, and we just ran with it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
Kate, how was it dancing with Will?
It was awesome. He had a lot of great ideas once he got out of his shell a little bit. And now look at him. He's naked.
Now look at him.
Just stepped right out of that comfort zone. I'm very impressed with what you did, how open you were to all of this. You made this really fun, so thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you for letting me.
Want to get some judges' scores?
Yeah, let's get some judges' scores.
Who do you want to start with?
We'll start with Ayla Brown this time. Ayla, we'll start with you.
All right, I just want to say, I don't know what you were like before. Everyone is saying, oh, you came out of your shell. You must have been so shy because the confident man that I see here today is so sexy for the room. Oh my gosh. Where is your wife, by the way?
She is over there.
She's running. Tonight is going to be a good night for you in many ways. That's all I'm going to say. But for your dancing, I will say maybe one more lesson would be good. So I'm going to give you an 8.
8. An 8 from Ayla Brown.
All right, Ms. Jen Batal, what do you have to say?
Alrighty, well, I'm just going to ask you to take that jacket off one more time so I can give you your score. Oh my God, Will, you were fantastic, a lot of fun. Yes, I don't know what you were like before, but if they're saying you came out of your shell, holy, you came out of your shell. I am going to give you a 9.
A 9. That's a 9 from Jen.
All right, Mr. Cole, what do you have to say, darling?
Well, if you pull me over and I pull that shit on you, I expect a pass. You understand that?
Absolutely.
Sir, I loved every bit of that routine. You were one of my favorite dancers of all time. I knew you were in good hands. I have every bit of expectation. You're going to do very well tonight also. In every regard, I'm giving you a 9, sir.
9! That's a 9 from Stephen Cole. All right, and finally we go to Mr. Kevin Hood.
You know what, buddy? Playing the role is part of this whole thing. You dove into the deep end. You went with it. Rachel's a good sport. I agree with all of them. You're going to get lucky tonight. And you know what? With that, I'm going to give you a 9 to get lucky.
A 9! 9 from Kevin.
All right, now here comes my favorite part. Y'all know what to do. You're gonna run around with your buckets, get money in your buckets, then return it to Ms. Amy at the judges table. On
Ready?
your mark, get set, go!
Here we go, let's fill those buckets. All right, there's it.
Check it to make it, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC.
Money in the buckets. Keep it coming. When the song is over, they need to be done. You can go up and throw money in their bucket. You can jump up and run up to them. You don't have to wait for them to come to you. All right, only a couple more seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1, you're done.
Here we go.
All right, bring them back up.
Buckets.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give one more round of applause for Will and Caitlin.
Are we almost at halfway?
Yeah, we are.
We're at halfway, everybody. Halfway, almost.
Set a course for the Duxbury Free Library on Monday, May 4th, when the Junior Friends of the Library are hosting a May the 4th Star Wars Lego celebration. This drop-in program geared towards kids age 5 and up will take place in the Mary Room between 2 and 5:30 p.m. when kids can use the Force and your favorite plastic bricks to build a Star Wars themed masterpiece. Whether you build an X-Wing or a secret rebel base, the library will keep your creations on display in the children's room for several weeks so the whole galaxy can admire your handiwork. Just a heads up for the younglings. If you're 3rd grade or under, make sure to bring your favorite Jedi Master or caregiver along to help. No registration is required for this event.
History is coming to life in an intimate way on Saturday, May 2nd at the historic Hedge House on Water Street, when the Plymouth Antiquarian Society invites you to step back in time for Letters by Candlelight, Voices of the Hedge Family at Home. Move through the Federal Period Rooms by candlelight to find costumed interpreters stationed throughout the home. They'll be performing dramatized readings of actual letters written by the Hedge family, including deeply personal correspondence from the American Civil War. It's a rare chance to hear the reflections and everyday thoughts of the people who lived in this house over 160 years ago. Space is limited for small group experiences, so you'll want to reserve your timed entry spot in advance. Slots are from 7 to 8:20 p.m. and occur every 20 minutes. Tickets are $18 for the general public and $13 for society members. Visit PlymouthAntiquarian.org to get yours.
Kingston teens, if you've been looking for a way to brush up on your artistic skills, the Kingston Public Library has a palatable new project just for you. Registration is now open for the Teen Prompted Painting Program. This year's theme is to capture a day in nature. Starting June 1st, registered artists can pick up a free starter kit from the teen room at the library, which will include a canvas, brushes, and paints. If you'd rather not work alone, you're not painted into a corner. Throughout the month of June, the Wednesday Crafternoon programs will be dedicated to working on these nature scenes together. Submit your completed artwork to Librarian Parker in the teen room by June 30th and have your work displayed in the Kingston Public Library Gallery for the entire month of July. Whether you're painting a tremendous forest or a fantastic lake, it's time to show the community what you can do. Registration ends May 31st. Visit the Kingston Public Library website to register.
If you're eager to put some prep in your step and even more rhythm in your soul, the Plymouth Center for Active Living has just the thing. Dance Caliente, a series of 90-minute social partner dance workshops that are guaranteed to be a swinging good time. Instructors Eileen Herman-Hess and Raul Nieves will lead the way, focusing on 2 high-energy styles, West Coast swing and the hustle. Each session kicks off with a professional demonstration, followed by lessons both en masse and with a partner. And don't worry if you're flying solo. While you're encouraged to bring a friend, the instructors will make sure everyone is matched up and ready to hit the floor. Using their signature teaching technique, Eileen and Raul will explore rhythms and steps in an atmosphere where laughter isn't just allowed, it's encouraged. It's all about developing new skills with a joyful twist. These workshops are completely free, thanks to the Friends of the Cal and a grant from the Plymouth Cultural Council. Mark your calendars for Friday, May 1st and Friday, May 15th at 2 p.m. Hustle down to the Center for Active Living to register.
Mass Audubon is inviting early birders to start their Tuesday, May 5th on the Duxbury Bogs for the program Destination Birding with a Scone. From 8 to 11 a.m., you'll take a guided walk through the trails of this beautiful, nearly 200-acre conservation area, a prime location to spot widgeon, gadwall, hooded mergansers, and bufflehead. To make the experience even sweeter, you'll get to enjoy one of Doug's legendary home-baked scones while you wander. Whether you're a hawk-eyed expert or just starting your birding journey, this walk through the active and retired cranberry bogs is the perfect way to spread your wings and enjoy the outdoors. Registration is required for this one, so don't regret missing out. The cost is $17 for members and $21 for non-members. You'll meet at the parking lot at 182 East Street in Duxbury. To register, visit the Mass Audubon website.
A local cold case is heating up, and the primary investigator is the victim? The Pembroke Public Library Book Club is going underground on Tuesday, May 5th to discuss Holly Jackson's latest thriller, Not Quite Dead Yet. The plot follows 27-year-old Jet Mason, who is left with a fatal brain injury after being brutally attacked on Halloween night in Woodstock, Vermont. Given only 7 days to live, she teams up with her childhood friend to solve her own murder, uncovering dark secrets in the process. Talk about a deadline you don't want to miss. The book club kicks off at 6:30 p.m. and is expected to wrap up by 7:30, having unearthed every twist and turn Jackson has buried in these pages. If you're dying to get your hands on a copy, you can reserve yours by calling the library at 781-293-6771.
The Duxbury Rural and Historical Society is proving that you're never too old for a field trip with the 3rd installment of their field trip series for adults. On Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, the big kids will be taking over the King Caesar House at 120 King Caesar Road. Starting at 12 p.m., experience history just like the Duxbury students do. But don't worry, there's no pop quiz at the end. In this trip to the King Caesar House, you'll rotate through engaging stations, learning how Duxbury launched into history through shipbuilding, mastered the art of the deal 19th century style through maritime trade, get a look at historic interiors before open floor plans were a thing, and even get a touch of pirate lore. Visit duxburyhistory.org to anchor your spot. Admission is between $25 and $30.
Is your latest masterpiece suffering from a case of writer's block that feels more like a boulder? Plot your comeback at the Plymouth Public Library program, The Next Right Step, Clarity for Writers, led by best-selling author Kendra Vaughn. This workshop is low stress and all fun, with no critique and zero pressure, just pure, unadulterated positivity. Clarity for Writers will take place in the craft room at the library on Tuesday, May 5th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Registration is required.
Next up is Dave Antoine with Duxbury Government on the local scene.
Winter Storm Hernando may have long been in the books, but its memory was kept alive by the Duxbury Select Board, reconvening after a 2-week break on the final Monday of March, the aura of town meeting having dominated much of their fall to winter schedule. Town Manager Rainey Reed began informally with a 6-page report on the blizzard of 26, with the after-action information regarding the town's response to the storm, with relevant staff discussing the many variables before, during, and after the storm, along with the departmental responses. Among the items mentioned were the proactive measures taken by the DPW department, salting the roads on February 20th into the following Saturday, leaving 110 tons of salt remaining for the town. The average number of salt tons for the DPW to maintain are ideally 500. The town typically needs about 38 tons in one sweep to cover the entirety of Duxbury. The DPW began a pre-planned start time to address the blizzard at 8 p.m. that Sunday, with work that carried on into the early hours of Tuesday, the 24th of February. 25 DPW staff were part of the event itself. Said staff ended up reporting back to work at their normal hours between 6:30 and 7 a.m. moving forward, shifting to a 24-hour rotation consisting of 12 work shifts on Tuesday, a drive to fully utilize the staff but also provide enough rest time as well, a strategy that allowed all essential pieces of equipment to remain in service for 24 hours. The rotation concluded on Thursday, February 26th, and returned to daytime work on Friday the 27th. DPW staff subsequently worked overtime to clean up the roads of Duxbury. Rainey also discussed what the town learned from this event, citing the closure of the Plymouth nuclear power plant, noting the loss of funding and manpower associated with the closure. The town's emergency management strategies have changed, given there's no longer a central communications staff manned by professionals and volunteers to assist with emergency situations. DPW is awaiting the building of a new facility, designating the center as a temporary workspace during the bomb cyclone, in addition to the building doubling as a warming space for residents. Rainey highlighted that they will have pre-assigned staff to handle the administrative needs of DPW during a snow emergency, such as communications, including early messaging for residents. Rainey highlighted that a dedicated town email provided for residents to give their own on-the-ground info relevant to snow-related needs was well received, with over 100 emails within the first 24 hours of the storm. Emergency staffing was highlighted as a critical need for expansion, one that would involve the assistance of the school's fire lanes when the post-cleanup process occurs, and additional snow removal equipment for fire and police. A generator for Town Hall is also being proposed to the town's capital budget and plans to plow roads every 4 hours. The intent of this was to have the town split into 6 different sectors that can make for efficient snow removal and a solid understanding of what needs to be addressed within each sector. Randy did want to note that the town isn't looking to be on a spending spree, but a list of items that should be considered for the future in the event of another blizzard. On a more optimistic note, many one-day liquor licenses were approved for the bevy of town activities coming up with the Duxbury Free Library and the Music Festival. As the meeting drew to a close, Rainey met with the town's finance department and consultants on March 12th for a bond rating call with Standard & Poor's on the town's financial health of the past, present, and future, with respect to the town's FY25 performance, along with the FY26 budgetary expectations and the FY27 budget, along with the override and more. Rainey was pleased to announce that the town's bond rating was reaffirmed at a AAA by Standard & Poor's, ultimately showing a strong budgetary performance for Duxbury. Winding back to the start of the meeting, when the board returned from their initial executive session, a much-needed recognition for longtime employee Nancy O'Connor in her final select board meeting, honored for her 12 years of service as she pursues a new chapter upon retiring as the town executive assistant. Chair Brian Glennon noted the blood, sweat, and tears that Ms. O'Connor has dedicated to serving the residents, beginning as a volunteer before segueing full-time in the town manager's office. Seen not just as the backbone for the board, but to the town itself. The room erupted in applause, and Brian provided a small token of appreciation as the board said their goodbyes to Nancy. With town meeting in the rear view, the select board will resume their traditional spring-summer schedule into August. The board wrapped up just before 9:30 that night. This has been your Duxbury Government Access on the local scene.
Next, on Community Conversations, we shine a light on the town of Kingston. Director of Elder Affairs Holly Nageli invited new town administrator Cot Lambiese and assistant town clerk, Kingston 300 clerk, and website coordinator Jana Morrissey to the set.
Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm Holly Nageli, the Director of Elder Affairs for the town of Kingston, and we're going to get started with an introduction to our new town administrator, Scott Lambiese. Hi, Scott.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yep. So we just wanted to hear a little bit about your background, your introduction to Kingston, and so what are you looking forward to this year?
Well, so my background, I think I've had about 20-something years in municipal government. I started with one of your neighbors, the town of Duxbury, and I was over there. I started off as a building commissioner and a building inspector, worked my way up to director of municipal services. And from there, I went to the town of Abington, where I was the town manager for roughly almost 6 years over there. And when this opportunity came up, I was very excited to come back to this area. I love the coastal community vibe. I like the history that we have here. So it was a great opportunity. I'm really excited to be back here, back in this area. And it seems like a great town. We certainly have a great group of department heads. Everybody's really concerned about the community. Everybody takes their job very seriously. They realize that we're stewards of the community, so to speak, and and we want to do the best that we can for the taxpayers. So I'm really happy to be here.
Great. And what are you looking forward to? What is some of your priorities for your first year in office?
Mostly right now we're sort of behind the 8 ball on our annual budget and setting that and then getting ready for our annual town meeting. So that's really been, the first, I think I've been here probably 90 days maybe at best. And that's sort of, what the whole focus has been is okay, we need to get this budget set. We need to get ready. There's a lot of moving pieces that go on to put together a town meeting, and making all of that work with all the right people has been a big focus. Getting to know the departments and the department heads, all the different projects that are going on that have been started or that we have to get started in the spring. Finding out about those things has been a lot. And then I think mostly what I want to do once we get through this town meeting is start introducing myself to the community. I think this is a great forum, this program. I want to do a lot more of meetings with the other department heads on here to introduce everybody to myself, to the department heads, to what the departments are doing. I think that one thing that was very successful in Abington was a good communication plan with the public. They really do appreciate knowing what's happening at town hall, what we're doing, keeping them informed. And there's lots of different ways of doing it. This is one. I'd like to eventually do some sort of a community quarterly newsletter. It'll come out, an electronic one. I know working with social media, making sure that we have a responsible presence on there is important, and working with the website. Obviously getting ourselves out there that way.
Great. Which transitions us to our website content creator, among other things, Jana Morrissey, our assistant town clerk, website coordinator, and Kingston 300th clerk. So thank you for joining us, Jana.
Thank you for having me.
10 years?
Oh my God, yes. Never thought I'd see the day. It went by in a flash.
It goes by fast. So, Jana, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell me your favorite place in Kingston.
I think you already know the answer to that. But I am a South Shore brat, grew up in Plymouth, moved and settled in Kingston 24 years ago, and raised my daughter here. When she was in high school, it was about 10 years ago, was when I started at Town Hall in the clerk's office. I'd always, for years before, I had been working elections in Precinct 1, and it always been a passion of mine. Studied some poli-sci in college, so, and working under Paul Gallagher he's a lovely man to work for. Learned a lot under him, and we're got a lot going on this year. We've got some state elections coming up in the fall. We have our annual town election coming up in May.
So that's what we were going to discuss was our Kingston's upcoming town meeting. And Scott, do you want to give an update on that?
Yeah, like I said, they were a little bit behind the 8 ball when I got here, and it's taken a while to get ourselves caught up. There's a lot that goes into setting the annual budget. There's a lot of departments. If you look at the communities around us, many of them are in, and we all are, having financial issues. And I'm happy to say that I'm pretty sure that we will submit a level budget this year. We won't be asking for an override like many of the communities around us, but it's a level service budget, which means we've asked all the departments just to, submit whatever you're doing now with contractual obligations. I know that, many of the departments, at least police and fire police and streets, trees and parks had some real asks that they need for the community as far as staffing goes. And we've asked not to do that this year. We may be bringing that back next year and have to discuss it again. But the challenge has been getting all of this together in a timely manner. And unfortunately, we are going to ask to delay town meeting by a few weeks. As of the taping of this, we don't have the date, but we will have it within a few days. We'll have it posted by the time this airs. It'll be posted on the website. We'll have some nice signs. Lawn signs will be out. And again, there's not a lot that's going to be on the warrant for this year's town meeting. Like I said, it's a level service budget. There's some housekeeping articles, but there really won't be a lot. We do hope that everybody will come out and support it and take care of the town's business. We ask that once or twice a year of everybody, and from what I understand, we always get a good showing here, and I'm glad to hear that. We have, people that are really concerned and active in the community, so that's nice. But, like I said, it is it's very tough what's going on in most of the communities in Massachusetts right now. The fixed costs that we have, whether it's utilities and debt and obligations for health insurance and obligations for retirement and contractual obligations just keep rising every year, and our ability to collect or to increase revenue is hampered at 2.5%. And when we don't have new growth, which we don't have very much new growth in this area, that makes it very difficult to provide the level of service that we need to provide to the community. And we want to make sure that we are providing the highest level of service that we can to the community. But ultimately then at some point in time that it's up to the community to make those decisions. And that's how the process works. At the end of the day, we put it out there for the community to decide, what is it that you want, what is it that you need, what is the quality of life that you expect for the town, and that's what we can do. And this is, it's there for them to vote on.
Right. Another thing that's important for them to vote on is that we have a town election coming up. Jana, do you want to tell some information about when the town election is?
Sure. So town election is Saturday, May 16th. It's at Kingston Elementary School. We have 4 precincts. They all vote there at the cafeteria. Polls are open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And people are like, oh, I don't vote in the local election. I only vote in the important ones. And I'm like, but your local election, those are your officials that are deciding how your money's spent. And town meeting is even more important as far as where your tax dollars are going. Those issues and those decisions are made at town meeting and by the local, officials that you're electing on the local election.
And this time around, we have 2 selectmen seats open.
We have 2 selectmen seats open. We have 4 candidates running. We have a total of 18 positions that will be on the ballot. There are the selectmen's race and the Board of Health are the only 2 contested races on the ballot. So Board of Health also has 2 incumbents running and 1 new person for 2 seats.
Great.
So those will be interesting. So
get out and vote.
Right.
Very important.
And it's probably also important to note is, that's how a community like this operates. You have us who, work for the town and we're paid staff, but a large amount of the work and a large amount of the decisions are made by volunteers. And they run for these seats, and they're not paid, but they do it. They take their time out, and we should thank them all, whether it's planning board or health board or board of selectmen or the sewer and water commissioners, and there's a whole group of people, the finance committee, and we're always looking for people to be on these committees. And if anybody out there is interested, please let it. You don't even need. We're not looking as far as requirements to be on there. There's different committees. There's a finance committee. It'd be great if you have a financial background, but you don't necessarily need one if you're just interested in participating, and it's an amazing way to learn about what's going on in your town. I think it opens up a lot of people's eyes.
It does,
because a lot of people are out there just saying, geez, they're not running the town right, and my taxes keep going up. And the reality is come in and see how it's done and work with us, and you'll see that there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot to it, and the folks that do find it very rewarding. They do, they may not go home with any money, but they go home with a sense of pride in their community, that they've invested in their community, and that they've actually, taken control of what's going to happen, what the future of the community is.
They have a voice, and they just need a willingness to help, is all you're saying, yeah.
And some of these committees are a bigger lift. The finance committee, when it gets near town meeting time,
cyclical,
they work. Yeah. The Board of Selectmen, typically at least twice a month. But I imagine some of the other committees are less. They might meet once a month. They might meet quarterly. I think we have a new committee for the AD
Commission on Disabilities.
Commission on Disabilities.
Right.
And I know that Will's looking for people to get on that committee, and it's an important committee. But they don't necessarily have to meet all that often. Once they get up and going, they could probably meet quarterly. So whatever your passion is, we probably have a committee for you. And I would say reach out to the clerk's office for all that information.
Yeah, that's what we rely on, is the volunteers and the time.
I mean, civic duty, it's what makes democracy works, right? At the local level is where it starts.
Absolutely. And so quickly, we had mentioned the website and how the information about town meeting will be on our website. Back in the fall, late summer, early fall, the Town of Kingston website went through a refresh, I guess we would say, and Jana was...
New shade of lipstick.
Jana was the head of that committee and the content and the design. So do you want to talk a little bit about that quickly, what we did with the website and how we enhanced it to enhance the user experience?
So, yeah, sure. So, and back to my favorite place in Kingston. It is the river, the Jones River, the Adena.
Just checking.
We do have a boat. So we're gonna like to feature a little bit of that on the website, because we have some beautiful scenery in Kingston, being a coastal town. We have an agricultural background, some industries, and we'll talk a little bit more about our 300th this year as well, and just kind of wanted to get that flavor onto the screen, onto the website, and also to try to have a town website. We have, I don't know how many departments, 20 departments. We have like 50 committees. So everyone's like, I can't find what I'm looking for. Well, it depends. What day? What are you looking for? There's so we featured the news flashes a little more prominently. The calendar is right on the front page, trying to make it as easy as possible for people, able to do alerts if there's anything the community needs to know during the storm and outages. We were able to post and update the website for that. So and thank you for serving on that committee. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think it was a great collaboration between feedback maybe that we had heard both externally and internally. So how it navigated for us and how people would find our departments and information about our departments, who to contact. Then in addition to what the community was saying, where they would reach out to us and say, I can't find what I'm looking for, or how do I pay my bill, or how do I get, information on rec in the library and all of the departments. Like you said, it's a big job, and it gets a lot of traffic. So it was nice to give it sort of a cleaner look and easier navigation, and that was a big part of
And it's interesting. So we talked about you being, director of the COA, and dealing with the population who isn't necessarily very tech savvy. And I was speaking to one of our residents who is frustrated. There's no longer the local newspaper. She's like, where can I find information on the 300th? I'm like, it's right on the front page, right under the picture. If it's underlined, it's just you click on that. That's a link. Not knowing that if something's underlined, like, me being on the computer all day long and for most of my career, that is intuitive to me. It's not intuitive to everybody else. So it's kind of interesting to be able to, our residents run the gamut. In all sorts of ways, right?
Yeah, so they want to be able to find the information quickly without a certain number of clicks.
Exactly.
So kudos to you for putting that all together.
It's ongoing. It's a living beast.
It is. It's constant, right?
That is the thing about the websites, though, is that
Right.
you constantly have to look at it, and as department heads, we all have to monitor it and make sure that everything on there is still relative.
Right.
It's fresh, it's active. That when you do click something, it actually goes somewhere. There's nothing more frustrating
than a broken link.
But that, again, that's kind of the discipline that we have to
Absolutely.
put into
Day to day.
ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
The last thing we wanted to talk about was the big celebration. This year is the 300th anniversary for the town of Kingston. So there's a committee that's been working diligently to plan some celebrations, a year-long celebration. We recently held a gala in January. That was the kickoff. There's an arts festival coming up. And we have this beautifully printed book that shares, to your point, the agriculture, the history, the neighborhoods of Kingston, some incredible photography and stories from some of people I know that come to the senior center. So it's a wonderful piece. And what else is happening with the 300th anniversary? What do we have to look forward to?
So next is the Arts Festival. That'll be May 9th. We're hoping to have upwards of 70 artists on display. So that would be wonderful. It's going to be just a nice community event. It'll be there will also be a retrospective of some famous Kingston artists that will be on display at our Adams Library. Great. So that'll be open to the public that day. And just walking up and down Green Street, which is right in the center of town, connecting the Adams Library over towards the Beale House, which is kind of the activity center for our First Parish, which is the First Parish is what founded Kingston, back before separation of church and state. So that's May 9th. And then we have a parade coming up in July. That'll be even before the parade, June 27th, we're going to do an official proclamation on our town green because that's the true anniversary. The state made it official that Kingston was its own town. We seceded from Plymouth in June 16th of 1726. The former town clerk in Plymouth used to tease us that we were, the North Precinct, which we were prior to that. And we're hoping to make that a little bit of a festival. We're working on what that day is going to look like. The parade will be July 25th, and then an Old Home Day celebration with fireworks coming in September. And then so far, the last scheduled event is our historic house tour and a tour of the old burial grounds. Which it has some of our, pretty cool. Tom Vendetti will be giving a tour of that. And he's always a wealth of knowledge. He actually helped produce the book.
So a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Hopefully a little something for everybody.
Great.
Yeah.
And so you're coming in at an exciting time.
I couldn't ask for a better time.
We are having all these big parties. And I'm sure you'll.
I get invited to one of them.
I think so. I think we can take care of that.
I got some pull.
Yeah. So that's all we have for today. If you have any questions, check our website, kingstonma.gov. We have all the information about town departments, the 300th anniversary, all
has
things.
a Facebook page too.
Our Facebook pages, yes. And reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you for joining us.
If you'd like to have a harmonious Mother's Day afternoon, the Spire Center for Performing Arts in Plymouth has just the ticket. Forever Simon and Garfunkel is coming to the Sunday Serenade stage on Sunday, May 10th. This isn't just a tribute, it's a deep dive into the history of harmony's most iconic duo. Award-winning singer-songwriters Sean Altman and Jack Sculler bring unique, laser-precise harmonies to the stage, taking the audience on a journey from the duo's early folk roots all the way through global hits like Bridge Over Troubled Water and The Sound of Silence, plus a few of Paul Simon's solo favorites. Find more information and grab your seats at the Spire Center's website.
See Tidmarsh Wildlife Sanctuary in a whole new light, moonlight, on Friday, May 1st for Mass Audubon's Full Moon Hike. This will be a guided, gentle stroll through the meadows and woods designed to awaken your senses to the sounds of the night. Experts will be on hand to explain how restoration projects like the one at Tidmarsh are helping to bring back dark skies. Darker skies don't just make it easier for us to see the stars and the moon, but are also vital for the local wildlife that depend on the night to survive. The hike will run from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Visit the Mass Audubon website to register or email them at southeast@massaudubon.org with any questions you may have. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of The Local Scene this week. Thank you for watching.
If you live or work in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, or Duxbury and would like to have your own show or podcast, you should. Email community@thelocalscene.media to find out about our free production services and training for community members.
And if you have a story or event you'd like people to know about, email us at story@thelocalscene.media. Want to know about events happening on the South Shore? Visit our website calendar at thelocalscene.media to check out just how vibrant our community is.
And as always, we thank our patrons Tiny & Sons, Quintal Brothers, and Squinny's Pizza for supporting our mission of community in action through media.
The Local Scene this week will be back next week with more of what's good and good to know in our area. Until then, we'll see you on The Local Scene. Hello, friend. If you enjoyed this video, please think about scanning the QR code and making a contribution to The Local Scene. Every dollar is appreciated, and your support helps keep community media alive and our resources free to the community. We'll see you on The Local Scene.